That's right. A little hot NASCAR talk. We have an odd debate that has popped up in NASCAR. Now, just bear with me. It involves Bubba Wallace. Now, I don't know if you saw this or not. Maybe you missed it. You're not a hardcore NASCAR fan. So a longtime racing columnist ran a story that essentially said Bubba Wallace hasn't earned a spot in the upcoming All-Star race, but should be given a spot in the All-Star race because of his notoriety. Of course, the problem, which is more than just a small problem, is that his resume does not qualify for the $1 million exhibition, which is upcoming here. It is designed for race winners, right? It is designed for race winners and previous champions of that event. Now, I'm not a hardcore NASCAR guy. I've watched it occasionally, and I've covered it in the past. Now, Wallace is none of those things. He's not a race winner, and he's not qualified to be part of it, but yet there's a faction of the media. It's not just this person. There's others that are saying that Bubba should be allowed. So let us discuss. All right, the question, does Bubba Wallace, the aforementioned Bubba Wallace, deserve to be handed on a silver platter a spot in an all-star race, which is upcoming? Now, the answer is no. The answer is no. And my views on this, you've got Bill Parcells, Justin Timberlake, and the Cabal. All right, and we will combine all these things together. Now, first of all, this has always been a pet peeve of mine. I like when people accomplish things and get rewarded for it. I have a strong distaste when people are just given things that they didn't earn. It rubs me the wrong way. And Bubba Wallace is, let's face it, he's a lot of things. He's also not a good race car driver. That has to be said here. And if he wants to be part of the All-Star race in NASCAR, the way this is set up, you got to earn it. Right? There's no such thing as a free lunch. There shouldn't be. Now, I will tell you, don't hold your breath, right? If you ask Bubba and his team to earn it, through 17 races, Wallace has not only been a driver, he's been terrible. He's 19th in the Cup Series standings, 60 points outside of what needs to be for the playoffs in NASCAR. And from what I have read here about this year of Bubba Wallace, in this All-Star race, he's got 4 chances left. So he's got 4 chances left to make the field. Should he meet the requirements, then sure, he'd get an automatic berth, and that's fine. And otherwise, I imagine by not making it, he'll get a couple of more sponsorship deals out of it. They'll give him some more sponsorships. But why is that such a foreign concept? Like, it just blows me away. These things come up, and I'm obviously using Bubba Wallace as an example. It's a NASCAR story, but it happens in other sports as well. It's like they haven't earned it, but we'll just give it to them. And I go by the belief that Bill Parcells used to say back when he was coaching the Giants and the Cowboys and all that, you are what your record says you are. And these dingleberries in the racing media are big fans of tokenization. And they apparently have no problem with like special treatment if it's good for the narrative that they're trying to push. And I do not agree with that. I do not. Maybe I should agree with symbolism, but I don't. Now, the second thing here, the woke motorsports media has made a bunch of excuses as to why it is not Bubba Wallace's fault that he has been a failed NASCAR driver. And as Justin Timberlake sang years ago, cry me a river. When I did cover NASCAR and I ran a rumor website, and we had NASCAR rumors on there for several years, at that time, the biggest sideshow in racing was Danica Patrick. And she was very good at garnering media attention. Media loved the story, right? Female driver in a male-dominated sport, and she racked up a lot of endorsement money. The problem was when the race would start, Danica was not only a driver, she was terrible. She didn't win anything. And Bubba Wallace has become the male version of Danica Patrick. Now, what's my evidence? If you go to the stats, Danica Patrick, who was maligned, we goofed on her all the time on this show. You know, her average career finish was 24th in NASCAR. Average finish. She ran 191 Cup Series races. She had 0 wins in the top series on NASCAR. Bubba Wallace, you know what his average career finish is? 23rd. He's 1 slot better than Danica Patrick. He's got 0 wins. You have as many wins as Bubba Wallace has in the Cup Series. 90 Cup Series races. Over 90 now. I think it's 93 last I checked. and he's raced over 24,000 laps. He's led for a grand total of 24 of them, which is literally one every 1,000 laps he will have a lead. So this is actually an apples to apples comparison. The comp is there. The only differential is that Danica would consistently be taken out by other drivers, and she could rarely. We played a game on the show, which lap would Danica wreck in or crash in, because it was inevitable. Every race she would crash. Bubba hasn't done that. He hasn't crashed near the level that Danica Patrick has. But that's a slight differentiation point or point of demarcation. But until proven otherwise, right? Until proven otherwise, Bubba Wallace, he's been very good at profiteering off the narrative, but as far as actually winning, he has not been able to get close to sniffing that. It's a novelty act until it's not a novelty act. And listen, I think he should be celebrated. He's found a way to hustle the system and to get endorsement dollars without winning. And that's hard to do. That's hard to overcome that and get a lot of endorsement dollars when you're not successful at your sport, especially in a sport which is generally based on your success, how much endorsement power you have. Now, the final thought here. So I mentioned there was a column written and a couple of stories that have popped up from members of the motorsports media that would like to see Bubba Wallace in the All-Star race. Now, the deep state conspiracy is that all of this is a waste of time, that NASCAR is essentially going to rig this to get Bubba Wallace in, and how would that work? So, not to get too far into the weeds here, I'll just give you the basics. There are 22 drivers who are entered into the open event, in which the winners of each of those three stages earn an automatic berth into the show. So NASCAR added another wrinkle where the fourth slot, right? So number 4, the fourth slot goes to the winner of a fan vote. You see where I'm going with this? Am I telegraphing this? So the conspiracy is that the cabal of racing is going to step in here and say, well, wait a minute, this guy, in terms of publicity, Bubba Wallace is a 10, is a race car driver, he's a 0, but as a publicity guy, he's a 10, so the fix is in, right? Essentially, the fan vote, doesn't matter who the fans of NASCAR vote for, it's a rigged deal. And Bubba Wallace will be given a slot, that fan vote slot. It's what the Illuminati of racing would like. Now, I don't follow NASCAR day to day, but I do know these kind of things pop up in the NBA when they have the draft lottery and they have the different events where fans vote for, like the All-Star Game MVP, or the dunk contest. A lot of people think those things are rigged as well. But that was interesting. I want to rant about that because the Bubba Wallace story, that there are people that say he should just be given a berth in this All-Star race, even though he hasn't earned it. Just give him one because he's famous. He's on TV a lot.